Okay, ready? Oh. The fuck? Why am I getting calls now? Fuck, I'll just call him back later or something. Where were we up to? Oh yeah, Scream. Okay, now I honestly wasn't going to watch or review this movie just because I've never watched a Scream movie before. Never grew up with them, never really bothered to watch them, and I heard before that they weren't great movies, or at least I got the impression that that was the case. But the thing I love most about being a movie reviewer is that I get to watch some movies that I would never ever watch just by myself. And you know what? After watching all of the past Scream movies just recently and now this one, I'm actually starting to kind of fall in love with this series. Because these are classic whodunit murder mystery slashers with a bit of a comedic side as well, and they are very self-aware and tongue-in-cheek as they constantly poke fun at common horror movie cliches like dumb, loud sound jump scares, cops being completely and utterly useless, being completely unaware of your surroundings, and what the hell? Stop calling me during productions. God damn it, dude. Jesus. Fucking hate this guy. My god. I'll call him later. Let me just put this on mute for a second. Hold on. Fuck, where was I? Oh yeah. Even though I'm starting to really understand why a lot of people enjoy this series, they're not perfect movies, of course. The first one, the original, was terrific though. I really enjoyed that one, more so since it's the first Scream movie I and most people watched. Then it kind of went downhill from there. Each one after that just felt kind of worse than its predecessor because they literally felt like the same movie, just with different characters and a slightly different plot. And I mean, I'm not going to spoil it for those who are new to this series, who haven't watched the movie before, but because of that, it just gets shittier because it feels less original. So if tradition serves right, then this film will be pretty bad also. I mean, that's been the running gag throughout the last year or so, hasn't it? Ghostbusters Afterlife, the fourth Ghostbusters movie in this series, was pretty underwhelming. Same with The King's Man, that was shockingly bad compared to the first two Kingsman movies. And also, the same with No Time to Die. That was kind of a disappointing movie as well as the fifth and last Daniel Craig James Bond movie. It's funny how so many movie series just get worse, and like I stated, it's because they're not original anymore. Like, you have something to compare them with, and if it doesn't meet expectations, then it's a huge letdown. So as you can see, I ended up not having very high hopes for this film. But I gotta say, this movie defies all odds and might be my second favorite Scream movie of all time, right after the first movie, which is totally unexpected, and I give him props for surprising me like that. The newest Scream movie and the fifth one in the series is set basically 25 years after the first streak of brutal murders happened in the infamous town of Woodsboro. Damn, it's been that long since the first Scream movie? 25 years? Wow. But yeah, we have Ghostface back at it again as someone else completely different. We don't know who they are, but we learn throughout the movie. And like I said, all these movies basically play out in the same way. We don't know who the killer is. All we know is that the killer is someone very closely related to their targets and has some kind of motive. And then the big reveal happens at the very end. But unlike the second, third, and fourth films in the series, this one doesn't follow tradition and actually isn't that bad, even though it is very similar to how the original movies play out, because this Scream movie is the most different of all the Scream movies. The main character is not Sidney Prescott anymore, and things don't really revolve around her too much. The original cast members in this one play more of a supporting role. And instead, it revolves around an entirely new set of people and a main character that still relates to a key character of the Scream movies. So while it is slightly different, it still keeps many original elements as it plays homage to the original Scream movies a lot. So it feels fresh while feeling very similar at the same time. There are a lot of iconic scenes brought back that OG fans will appreciate. It's also very thrilling, the killings are brutal, and it feels like a whodunit a lot more. as they emphasize it a lot in this movie. It's basically like the original movies, but just more of everything people loved about them. Still not as good as the first film though. Love how they make fun of horror movie cliches and how they joke about other horror movies and how they're like a movie inside a movie. You're gonna love this one then. The thing I love about these movies is that they feel so very real. And that's because of how down to earth these movies are. And this one's no different. That's why the start of Scream 2 at the movie theater was so scary for me. Imagine just someone appearing out of nowhere and cutting your ass up. This movie still is pretty predictable and has a lot of build-up music that leads to a lot of loud-ass jump scares, and some things happen that are pretty frustrating and stupid, and the story is pretty average, right? It's nothing too special. But you know what? I'm kind of fine with that. The movie jokes about itself in the older Scream movies and the other horror movies so much more that it's a perfect popcorn flick. And for that, I'd say all the other negatives are minor because they're not that big. I mean, we kind of expected these things going into this one anyway, if you're someone who watched the previous Scream movies. One thing that I did ask myself from the very beginning was, will I end up caring about these characters like I did for some of the original cast members? And yeah, I actually did. There were a fair few people I cared about in this movie. Some that I cared about from the very beginning and through the OG Scream movies, and some that I learnt to care about in this movie. I didn't find myself caring for some of the more disposable characters, and that's fine, but if none of the main characters in this one are worth caring about, then it probably wouldn't have made me care about the movie as much. And again, this movie is a huge guessing game, but to be honest, I never was really good at finding out who the killer was. And most of the reason why is because this movie and the past Scream movies really does a good job at tricking the viewer, like the way the camera displays on a certain character or their misleading expressions, just as a way of making it seem like that guy or girl is the killer when they are in fact not. And I like that. It keeps things more interesting and more on edge. One thing that I never got though and frustrated me was how Ghostface is always smart and creative, very menacing and just unstoppable, despite their stature or physique. Like there are certain points in these movies where it would have been so easy to reveal his identity, take off his mask, or even just kill him. But I guess that's another minor thing. I mean, these movies are meant to just take the piss out of other similar horror movies, and these are movies that aren't meant to be taken too seriously. Like we never see who Ghostface is until the end of the movie. Always, the same result always happens. So they should feel shittier, right? Like, cause every movie is basically almost the same. And they do, with the exception of this one. And I think what makes me like a Scream movie really depends on the events that happen in the movie. Like, where do they go? How do the characters die? And is the big reveal worth it? And in this one, I like the characters and the journey it took me on a lot. It felt like it was the most self-aware and joke-poking Scream film, and I also found myself shouting at the screen a lot less at the stupid things that happened. But when I did, I realized, wait, they're doing those things on purpose. So yeah, if I look at it that way, I actually really enjoy these movies, and I can see why a lot of people do, because it's like they make fun of and are aware of the stupid shit that happens in similar horror movies. And I think if I look at this movie just by itself, then it's decent. It's alright, I guess. But I think what makes it is knowing the original movies, because there's a lot of background to this movie and you won't be able to take in everything unless you're familiar with the source material first. I'm going to give Scream a B+. Guys, thanks so much for watching. Let me know what you think down below. Like and sub if you enjoyed, and as always, feel free to check out any of my previous videos. Until next time. Fine, fine. Jesus Christ, I'll answer. Hold on.
Hello, Julian. What's your favorite scary movie?
Listen, I don't know who you are. I don't know what you want. But trust me when I say this. I will come, I will find you, and I will kill you.